先生とどっちが強い？
そうだね。力のすべてを取り戻したスクナならちょっとしんどいかな。
負けちゃう？
勝つさ。
Alright, what's up people? We are back here on some Destiny, and today I want to show off what is probably the what is the strongest build in all of Destiny currently. This build is so unbelievably broken. The only reason why it's currently in the game is because these artifact mods aren't permanent. These only last until the end of the act, which is in like around 90 days. But this exotic paired with Prismatic is genuinely the most broken thing in all of PvE ever, like at all. It is that insane on how strong it is. So yeah, let's get right into it. So we have here the Rime Coat Raiment, or Raiment. I think it's Rime Coat Raiment. Yeah, this thing is utterly broken, bro. I've been waiting for an exotic just like this one. And it really sucks that I made my Vesper Radius build, because the idea of that build was supposed to imitate this. And then they release an exotic that does my build, but better, which is funny. Anyways, we have the exotic trait here, Bleak Domain. Insane name. Your Bleak Watcher turrets are enhanced with extended range and are surrounded by stasis crystals and a storm. While standing in the storm, you're granted icicles over time. Icicles activate when you fire weapons, applying slow to the targets they hit. Which already sounds like absolutely crazy, honestly. Okay, so we are here on Bannerfall, and I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like. So we throw it down. Summons a bigger stasis turret that is significantly more aggressive and it shoots faster. There's the stasis storm, all of these ice crystals around, and as you can see, since I'm inside of it, I have this bleak domain thing. Whenever I shoot, it'll send out crystals that will slow down my targets whenever I shoot them. And then when I step out of it, it goes away. After so this thing is actually kind of insane. If you want to just straight up sit there and lock down an area, you put this thing down, you stand inside of it, everything that's close to you gets frozen, you can shoot and freeze things, the stasis turret will be going crazy with you. It's insane. This build does work on the stasis subclass. It works pretty well on stasis because you have things like frost pulse, ice flare bolts if you want to like freeze everything, frost pulse if you want to freeze everything. Glacial Harvest works well if you want to make like a frost armor build. But I honestly think that where this shines is Prismatic, because you have Feed the Void. It's absolutely insane how well your survivability is when you have a stasis turret that is supercharged and overpowered, and then you also have Devour going crazy in the background keeping you alive. I don't need to worry about anything in any sort of content because of Devour. That's how strong Devour is. Like, I could just do whatever I want. If you want to give yourself extra resilience so you don't get one tap, that's also fine. I have Phoenix Dive on, but I don't need it because you just don't. You really don't. Because that's just how strong Devour is. I could put this down, activate my Devour, and then everything in the room just dies because I can't die. My stasis turn is killing everything. I'm also shooting, and it's really, really fucking good. This build I have here is probably going to be my permanent Warlock build for the rest of this act. They're probably going to release more Stasis artifact mods, which makes Stasis even more busted, even though, in my opinion, I think Stasis is already fucking insane. So here, let me go over the build now. Obviously, we have the Rime Coat Raiment to buff our Bleak Watcher turrets, and then obviously we're using Bleak Watcher. We have Devour to keep ourselves alive. I did try to use this with Helion. Helion is good, but like I said, if you don't have Devour, then you actually have to start worrying about survivability. So it gets a little harder to build. So I recommend just using Devour. Of course, we have the Healing Grenade since it has the lowest base cooldown out of all of these. So you can get your grenade back faster. We have Penumbral Blast. Honestly, if it wasn't this season, I would switch this to Incinerator Snap or even Arcane Needle. But because of Crystalline Converter, the artifact mod, you need a stasis melee to activate Crystalline Converter. So I'm using Penumbral Blast. I'm using Phoenix Dive, but you can honestly use Empowering Rift or Healing Rift, doesn't really matter. For the fragments, we have Facet of Sacrifice, which makes it so while you have an Arc Solar or Void buff, ability Final Blows grant Darkness Transcendence energy. You will have Devour active, so you can always get Darkness Transcendence energy. Facet of Hope, while you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. Devour. Facet of Ruin, which makes it so increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or a frozen target. This is extremely good. This is like where you get all of your shatter damage from. Facet of protection, this is just for extra defense whenever you're surrounded by combatants. You could honestly switch this with like, you could do Facet of Dawn to make it so you get radiant whenever you melee. You could do Facet of Mending so grenade funnel bleeders cure you, and the Bleak Watcher does count as a grenade, so it will, whenever it does get a kill, it'll actually heal you. You could pair it with a bunch of other things. I just have Facet of Protection so I can you know, resist melee damage, and it's pretty strong in higher end content. And then you also have Facet of Courage, which makes it so your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets inflicted with a darkness debuff. This is where you can boost your super damage. I'm rocking Nova Bomb. You can also run Song of Flame. I thought Song of Flame goes really hard with this because then you have the freezing and then you're also exploding things, which that'll come into play later on. But yeah, I'm using Nova Bomb so I can boost my Nova Bomb damage. It actually goes kind of hard. And for weapons, I honestly have a few weapons I can pair this with, but the main thing you want to pair this with is a weapon with Rhyme Stealer. Rhyme Stealer is a perk that says destroying a stasis crystal or defeating a frozen target with this weapon grants you Frost Armor. This is literally on the Prismatic subclass. This is the only way to get Frost Armor with this setup. So you want to have Frost Armor so you can activate a lot of these stasis artifact mods. Like this one, Armor of Aramis, you need Frost Armor. Wind Chill, it gives you Frost Armor, but you need a stasis weapon anyways. So I'm using currently I'm using a Liturgy with Rhyme Stealer and Chill Clip. You could use any weapon that has Rhyme Stealer. It doesn't have to be this one, but I like using this one. I want to get an Exuvier with Rhyme Stealer and Headstone. I think that would go Insano style, but it doesn't really matter what weapon you use. Two weapons I personally recommend is also Wicked Implement with the Catalyst, because this gives you Headstone and it'll also allow you to collect Stasis Crystals easier. And Stasis Crystals will boost your melee energy. And then I also recommend Alatham, not because it's a Stasis weapon, not because it's of its exotic perk, not because of the ammo generation, not because of any other reason besides it uses primary ammo. It's a grenade launcher that uses primary ammo similar to Fighting Lion. So using Alatham will actually just enable you to use other things. Like Alatham is just really good. So you can basically, it brings back double special in a way because it does the damage of a special weapon, but it uses primary ammo, which means you can pair it with another thing like, you know, there's a Baron Action. You could pair it with a weapon with Demolitionist so you can get your grenade back even faster. I would pair it with Sovereign. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. I would pair it with any weapon that has Withering Gaze as a perk, because Withering Gaze allows you to weaken targets, so you can weaken a boss on top of using your stasis turret for Facet of Courage, send out a Nova Bomb that does a ton of extra damage to that boss. It's really good. So honestly, you could literally pair this with anything. I heavily recommend using a weapon with Rhyme Stealer, Headstone, Chill Clip, one of those. Doesn't really matter, but yeah. And then like I said, your other two weapons can be literally anything. Doesn't matter at all. Here are the mods. This build is genuinely so freaking strong. Like, it's unbelievable how strong this build is. The artifact mods don't make it any don't make it any better either. Like, it makes it even more broken once you pair all these artifact mods. So we have Wind Chill, Crystalline Converter, Armor of Aramis, Hail the Storm. I don't have my artifact maxed out yet, but the next two mods I would pair is Brain Freeze and Served Cold. Brain Freeze will make it so whenever you do freezing combatant, there will be a fog around them, which will freeze everything that's next to them. So everything freezes next to you, and then when you freeze an enemy, everything freezes next to them. It's extremely good. And then Served Cold just makes it so whenever you pick up a Stasis Shard, you get class ability energy. Also, another really good perk. This exotic is probably the best exotic Bungie has released in years. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below how you feel about Rhymecoat Raiment. I think this is honestly my favorite exotic in the entire game. It also just looks really cool. Like, this is some of the drip I came up with. This kind of reminds me of like the Bloodborne Hunter, like the main character you play as. So this looks really cool. And yeah, that's really about it. See you guys later.
領域展開無料空所